So before we start the tutorial, just a little announcement beforehand that may be regarded as questionable, but I've decided to stop doing a tutorial a week. Don't worry, I'm going to keep on doing tutorials, but let's face it, I haven't really been keeping up with a tutorial a week anyway. Basically, I had a lot less of a life when I started GIMP Know How than I do now, plus I started that in summer. So just for now, I'm discontinuing the tutorial of the week. Maybe it'll come back in the summer. Still make tutorials, but just not one a week, because if everyone's just going to post in my channel comments going, oh my god, don't do it, and then it's going to do huge flame wars where like, I'll protect you, no, I hate you, I'll protect you, I hate you, and then it's going to require me to like do over dramatic video announcements where I do horrible impersonations, and it's just a lose-lose, bad for everyone. So anyway, we are going to get straight in the tutorial, and yeah, let's go ahead and start. So the first thing we need to do is open up GIMP. This is taking a long time, longer than usual. I guess we'll wait a bit longer. You know what? This is all Joker's fault. What a tool he was. Now my computer has to spend all day computing Pi because he plugged in the Overlord. Ugh. You're killing me, Seth Green. You're killing me. Alright, once your GIMP is open, you can go ahead and open up a YouTube template. Now, I will have the link for you in the description, and originally how I made my background was I just took several screenshots of a YouTube page, and then I patched them together. But then I was like, oh, maybe someone has already done this for me, and so I googled it, and oh my gosh, there it was, a YouTube background template. So you can go ahead and download this one from Roberts Productions, and yeah, it's a pretty awesome looking template, and that's the one we'll be using for this tutorial. And I must apologize, this has been a fairly random tutorial with me going off on lots of tangents. Don't know why that is anyway, hopefully a straightforward tutorial from now on. Once you open up the background, you should be greeted by something a little like this. Actually, if you open up the PSD on GIMP, it'll be all black, but that's okay, because all you need to do is fill in these modules different colors, and you'll be able to see everything. And there'll be an advert, which I already deleted. Thanks, Robert Productions. Anyway, I made a new layer right above the background layer, and filled it in with black, and now we're going to go Filters, Render, Clouds, Difference Clouds. And as these clouds suggest, they form a differences in between the colors white and black, so we will go ahead and render those. Now I'm going to right click on this layer and add a layer mask. Now the reason we're adding a layer mask as opposed to just erasing it is because with the layer mask we can get a softer fade than we could with a normal eraser tool or a gradient tool. That's what I was talking about. There we go. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start erasing these clouds that we have rendered until they're about in this circular fashion that I want them. So I want my clouds about like this on either side. Layer mask successfully painted on. You can just go ahead and go Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Now once you have just go an extremely high Gaussian Blur. I'm going to go about 300 just for starters. And this shouldn't take too terribly long since it's just white and black. And this will give you a much cleaner fade of your clouds. In fact, I may actually want to do a bigger blur. And that way it just looks kind of like the clouds fade naturally. Maybe not that big of a blur. I think what we had before was fine. And after that you can right click and then click Apply Layer Mask. Now I want to add some color into these clouds. So I'm going to go Colors, Color Balance, and just drag up the green slider slightly, and there you get that nice pale green that I've been using for the design of my channel. Next we need to start working on the borders. So the borders themselves are actually fairly simple. It just takes a little work with selections. So let's go ahead and work on the bottom border first. So I'm just going to go View, Zoom, and we'll go ahead and go 50% just to see it a little bit bigger. Maybe even a little bit bigger than that. View Zoom 100, that'll work. Okay, so this is what viewers are actually going to be seeing on your channel. So we can just go ahead and alpha to selection this layer and make a new layer. And I'm going to go Select, Grow, and I'm going to grow it by, let's go 3 pixels. Next I'm going to fill this in with black, then click and tone the opacity down just so I can see what I'm doing here. And then click Select, Shrink, and this time I'm going to shrink it by about, let's try 6. A little bit more yet. Nope, one less. Alright, that'll work. So we're just going to fill this selection with black. Now we can go ahead and click Edit, Cut, just so we get a black border around here. Now we can go ahead and make this blue one invisible. So I'm going to tone the opacity all the way up, and here you can see our black border. It's looking decent. So I'm going to alpha to selection this one, then click Select, Grow, and I'm going to grow it by 1 pixel. Once it has been grown by 1 pixel, I'm going to make a new layer underneath it and fill it in with white. Then click Select, Shrink by 1 again, then click Edit, Cut, just because we don't want any of this white in between. Then click Select, None. So I'm going to set this white layer mode on soft light, and I'm going to tone down the opacity of the black layer. Next I'm going to duplicate this white layer, then go Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Definitely not by 300. Probably by 12. Looks good. And maybe duplicate that. And that way we get a kind of glowy white border, and we can go ahead and tone this black up a little bit. Next we are going to alpha to selection this black and make a new layer on top of that. And then I'm going to take the rectangle select tool with the layer mode set on subtract and select anywhere you don't want to gloss. Next I'm going to take the gradient tool, and with the gradient tool I'm going to select the gradient FG to transparent and try to stroke up about like this. And this gives it a nice glassy effect. Now if I find that I put it on a bit too strong, you can go ahead and reduce the opacity until you get this sufficiently glassy effect like you would like. And now what you need to do is repeat the process for the above unit. Okay, once you have the effect applied to the top, let's go ahead and give the background a little more detail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another Green Tunic fractal right across these clouds. I mean, Green Tunic has seriously like made fractals, and I use them in everything. I mean, I love using Green Tunic's fractals. Anyway, we are going to go ahead and open up a green fractal. We're going to go File, Open as Layers, and oh my gosh, I am so disorganized. I will cut and then... Okay, so I opened Fractal 20 from Green Tunic's Fractal Pack 2. I will have the link for that in the description, and we can just go ahead and position it. And I want it to be positioned right about here, and I'm going to set the layer mode on screen. And this will give us a nice kind of cosmic effect in the background. And then we can even duplicate this layer one more time and move it up here slightly for another slightly effect. Now we can just go ahead and right click on the layer and add an alpha channel, and this will allow us to erase it, and go ahead and select a pretty big eraser. I'm going to be using a fuzzy eraser at the size of 19, a scale of like 10, and just erase so it doesn't have quite such a hard edge, because no one likes hard edges. Now let's go ahead and add a slight backdrop to our channel players. So we are going to right click on the blue layers that you should still have from the original background, alpha to selection them, and color them black. Then click Select None once you've finished with them. Then just tone the opacity down a little bit, and you will get a nice kind of darkener just for the whole area, which is what we want. So do the same to the other background really quick. And then tone the opacity down slightly. Alright, and now we can start working on the gloss on the individual modules themselves, for like my channel player and avatar icon. Okay, so how I like to create the gloss is I like to alpha to selection an individual module, which you should have from the template, and then take the square select tool with the mode set on intersect with the current selection, and select the top half. Then I like to make a new layer right above it and take the gradient tool with the gradient set on FG to transparent, with white being your FG color, and then you just stroke up to create a basic glassy gloss. And then this is a bit strong, so if you just tone the opacity down, you'll end up getting a nice looking gloss. Now you can just do this with every module. The ones I did not do are my video page player, because you're not going to see that anyway, or this one because it's just awkward. Alright, so I have all the basic glossing done, and you can see that our background is beginning to turn out. Now unfortunately I can't teach you how to make the banner, as I think I already mentioned before, because most of my viewers are not partner. So, but what I can make you do is just make some basic mint leaves and speakers going out to the side. Now, unfortunately, the mint leaves I used are no longer available on the interwebs, but we can now go File, Open as Layers, and open up a new stock of mint leaves that is not as cool, but I guess will still work. So go ahead and move these, and whoops, check move the active layer, and make your mint leaves the active layer, and then move them to the side. Now we need to go ahead and get rid of this white space. So you have a few options. You can render them out with the paths tool like we've done in previous photo manipulations, or you can just color select and then right click, add an alpha channel, edit, cut, select, none. And as you can see, this leaves a pretty rough outline with shadows, which you can just fix up manually. Alright, so once you have the mint leaves kind of cleaned up, and if they're blurry on the bottom because you used the fuzzy eraser tool, that's absolutely fine. Cutting them out with the paths tool probably would have been better, but this will work just fine. So we are going to take the scale tool, check the chain, and, wow, that's like a catchphrase, check the chain. I'm sorry. Okay, we are going to scale those mint leaves down, and you'll get the black bar if you didn't have them pre-scaled down, but that's no problem. You can just erase it real quick. Or a white bar. Wow, that check the chain stuff. I might consider taking a retake of this, but you know, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm tired of it. We are going to go colors, hue, saturation, and then just tone down the saturation to fit with the low-key green of the rest of the background. Alright, so we are just going to duplicate this layer, I have mail, and then click layer, layer to image size, then click filters, blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to Gaussian blur it by about 15, and then set the mode on addition. And what this does is it gives us very glowy leaves, and I think with this stock it may actually be a bit too much in comparison to my other stock that I used. But if you think it's too much, all you need to do is tone the opacity down until you get sufficiently glowy leaves. Then we can right click on the layer and merge it down. Even though this may kind of get rid of the glow, it still is decent. So now what we're going to do is duplicate this layer, and then we are going to take the flip tool and then flip it horizontally. And that should end up right about here. Now we need to add the speaker. So if you were wondering why I said it was okay that they're that blurry and it looks horrible, the reason I said why is because these speakers are actually going to be kind of over them. So I'm going to scale the speakers down a little bit and then take the rotate tool and rotate these guys about like this. And then you can just move it up right in front of the leaf, thus effectively blocking it from view. Now what I did is I took some grunge splatter brushes, or just splatter brushes as it were, and I, let's see, I took the brushes, and I will have the link in the description, and that is way too big, and these were black. Then I took the black splatter brushes and set those on overlay. So you can just splatter the outside with grunge brushes, or splatter brushes. Do the same for the other side and copy over the speakers. So what this background is really missing is 2 more fractals, and we are going to put those right here and here, because right now it looks pretty cool, but it's unprofessional. It doesn't look that awesome yet. So we're going to go File, Open as Layers, and I believe I have it saved as Braden GFX resources graphics. Okay, here is just a small sample of exactly how disorganized I am. I love the search function. Okay, so every time I do a tutorial, I clean off my desktop and put it in a folder called desk. Now my desktop usually is about 3/4 full of icons and random images, and I put everything in the folder called desk, including previous folders called desk. So I think at one point I had a stack of 15 different folders full of icons, and I spent like 5 hours cleaning them out. But that's beside the point. We are going to go into fractals and fractal pack 2, and then pick a really nice looking effect fractal. So you can really pick any one. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with 3. So what I've done now is I've opened up the fractal, resized it, and then I desaturated it and did color balance to it. So it was really easy what I did so far, and I'm just going to duplicate this fractal so it's here on both sides. Now this isn't exactly like the background that I created, but it's fairly close and gives you kind of an idea of how I created my background. 3D text excluded, because last time I posted up a 3D text tutorial, people got very mad for some reason and said they couldn't save in the trial version, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can save in the trial version. I'm surprised how many people didn't read the pop-up that pops up when you first open the window that says, in order to save you will need an activation code, which you can get from their website. So anyway, you can save in C4D, but I'm not going to teach you how to do that anymore. So that is how I made my YouTube background. Thanks for watching. I know it's been a really long time since I got my tutorial done, and yeah, thanks for watching.